to allow the members of parliament to debate on the State of the Nation address, which was addressed last week on Thursday. And today, the members of parliament are also expected to debate on the Universities Amendment Bill, number 13 of the National Assembly, which was brought by Honorable Christopher Wangaya, the Member of Parliament for Quisero constituency. The bill that is in its first reading, and the bill enactment will not occasion additional expenditure of the public funds, meaning the objective and the reasons for the bill is to amend the Universities Act number 42 of 2012 to abolish funding private of universities using the public funds and to bar the Kenya universities and colleges central placement services from placement of students to private universities. The objective of this bill, the Universities Amendment Bill number 3 of the National Assembly, number 64 of the 2023, is to safeguard public funds from misuse by private entities which have not been brought under regulatory framework of the Public Finance Management Act of 2015 and regulations thereunder. The bill proposes to amend Section 54B of the Principal Act to abolish issuance of conditional grants to private universities in the country in the 290 constituencies. Clause 3 of the bill proposes to amend Section 54(4) and C of the Principal Act to abolish issuance of conditional grants to private universities in the country and proposes to amend Article 56(1) of the Principal Act to bar the Kenya universities and colleges and central placement services, KUCCPS, from placements of students to private universities in Kenya upon completion of Kenya secondary school education, and statement on delegation of legislative powers and limitations of fundamental rights and freedom. This bill by Honorable Christopher Wangaya, the Member of Parliament for Quisero constituency, does not contain any provisions limiting any fundamental rights or freedoms. On whether the bill concerns the county government, this bill seeks to amend the Universities Act so as to abolish funding of private universities using the public funds and to bar the Kenya universities and colleges services from placements of the said students to private universities in Kenya. Also, the fourth schedule to the Constitution provides that a university, tertiary education institution, and other institutions of research and higher learning is a function of the national governments. In view of this, the bill does not concern the county governments in terms of Article 110, 1A of the Constitution, as it does not affect the functions, powers of the county are recognized in the fourth schedule to Constitution, and therefore this bill is not concerning the county governments. The fund shall be established where a fund shall be known as the University Fund. They shall be paid into the fund. Monies provided by Parliament, sums of monies as may received by the board in form of donations. Such sums of money may be specifically designated for fund by the board of its own funds, income generated by investment made by the trustees, or endowments, grants and gifts from whatever source designated for the funds. The funds shall be managed by the Board of Trustees, which shall consist of 9 members appointed by the Cabinet Secretary of Education. A chairperson who has acknowledged and experience in matters related to finance, investments and fundraising should be appointed. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, that is of the higher learning, the Principal Secretaries in the Ministry responsible for finance, 6 persons who have proven knowledge and experience in financing matters, of which at least 2 or not more than 3 will be of the same gender. Also, the members of Parliament are expected to debate on a report of the Committee of the Whole House on the National Government Constituency Development Fund Amendment Bill, the National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2023, brought by the leader of the majority party and the leader of the minority party. The House do agree that the report of the Committee of the Whole House on the consideration of NG-CDF, the National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2023. This bill, brought by the majority and the minority leaders, is set to be is on the third reading, and the question is set to be placed today. The Principal Secretary on the Ministry for the time responsible for matters relating to the national economic policy and planning, or designated alternative, not being below the level of Parliament. The basis for budget ceiling is for each constituency shall be 3/4 of the amount specified in Section 4, divided equally among all the 290 constituencies. Also, an amount equal to 1/4 of the amount specified in Section 4, divided among all constituencies, taking into account the number of wards in each constituency, and also subject to provincial of Section 8(1) and Section 23(1) of the Constitution. The chairperson of the National Assembly Committee shall table in the National Assembly a schedule showing the ceiling for each constituency, which shall be determined in accordance with the subsection. Also, the national government may, through the National Government Constituency Development Fund Committee, established under Section 43, where necessary, facilitate other projects or program falling within preview of the national government with funds, other funds specified in Section 4 of the Constitution. The constituency members of the National Assembly shall, in consultation with the Constituency Oversight Committee, at least twice in every financial year, and upon giving notice of at least 14 days, convene public forums for the purpose of mobilizing and sensitizing the respective target groups or any matters related to this fund. This on the motion on the report of the Committee of the Whole House on the National Government Constituencies Development Fund, the Amendment Bill, the National Assembly Bill number 13 of the 2023. On the facilitation of Constituency Oversight Committee, in discharging its obligation, the Constituency Oversight Committee shall be facilitated by funds set aside by the constituency, provided that such allocation does not exceed 1% of the total allocation of the constituency in the financial year. Also, on the provincials in the Act are complementary. The provincials of this Act shall be complementary to any other development efforts by the national government or any other agency, and be excluded from any other development programs. And for the avoidance of doubts, normal government development allocation shall continue alongside the projects funded under this Act. This is the motion on the report of the Committee of the Whole House on the National Government Constituencies Development Fund, that is the Amendment Bill of the National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023. The members of Parliament this morning are expected on to debate the President's address, being a day 2. This is brought by the leader of the majority party. Among the issues the members are expected to debate today are on the fighting corruption, having in mind on the wastage, inefficiency and negligence of the country. The President asked Parliament to finalize assets declaration and conflicts of interest bill to further tighten our anti-corruption policy framework and eliminate space for misbehavior. The quorum has been achieved pursuant to Standing Order 34. And now I hand you over to the plenary.
Let's proceed. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable Wamaua. Honorable Wamaua. Order, honorable members. Honorable Dorothy Waikara. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable Wamaua. Honorable Wamaua, take your seats. Take your seats. Honorable Kalasinga. Honorable Kalasinga. Honorable members, let's proceed. Let's proceed. Let us get started, then they can. Honorable members, take your seats. Honorable members, honorable members, it shall be resolved. Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members. Okay, proceed. Honorable members, the matter shall be resolved. The matter shall be resolved, honorable members. You are prematurely protesting. Honorable members, honorable members, like I said, you will have an opportunity to raise that matter. Let us, honorable members, start. Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, Honorable Kimayo, Honorable Kimayo, you're prematurely reacting. Let us start the session and then you will have an opportunity to give your voice legitimately. Right now the session has not begun. So your protest is not on record. Your protest is not on record. Let us start.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader, honorable members, order. The matter that you're protesting is premature. Let us get to that particular order and then you can legitimately lend your voice. Right now, it's not on record. You will have an opportunity, honorable members. Allow us to proceed and get to the contentious order. Proceed.
Okay.
Proceed,
Honorable Speaker.
Leader Majority.
Honorable Speaker. Hey, hello, Ruto, please, let's have order in the House. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 15th November 2023. 1. Legal notice number 175 of 2023 relating to the Public Finance Management Ulinzi Prime Health Services Fund regulations. 2. Report of the Auditor General, Marianne Keitan. Honorable members, let's finish to lay the papers, then we'll come to that order. 2. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2021 and 30th June 2022 and the certificates therein in respect of Kasoko Boys Secondary School, St. Anne's Kisoko Girls High School, St. Stephen's Alwar Mixed Public Secondary School, Githunguri Girls High School, and Nyamathi Secondary School. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable Speaker, at this moment, reading the mood of the House, I would request that we defer motion 9 so that we allow for further consultation, so that we can get the views of every member before we move on to the next. So,
it seems that it's the mood of the House.
Therefore, I request you, Honorable Speaker, with utmost respect, that we defer motion number 9. I thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, honorable members. I think that it seems it's the mood of the House that it be deferred. Next order. Next order. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of certain business from Standing Order 43.
Honorable Speaker, order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of certain business from Standing Orders 43. That this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as order number 11 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable Speaker, I know the House is on fire today, but that is the essence of being an elected member of Parliament, to protect your constituencies and the resources that you have. And it is the reason that we came to this Parliament. Honorable Speaker, today being Wednesday, we usually debate private members' motions, but because, Honorable Speaker, we have the presidential speech and other matters, I request that we allow order number 11, and then we proceed with private members' motions during the day. So, Honorable Speaker, I request Honorable Kagushia to second. Procedural motion.
Honorable Speaker, I do second the procedural motion to take place.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as order numbers 9 and 11 in today's order paper for the from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Is there a question? Okay. Honorable members, I now put the question that the House resolves to exempt the business appearing on order number 11 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order number 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, since the procedural motion has passed, it means order number 9 automatically falls. Let's move to the next order.
Order number 10, the Universities Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 64 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Universities Act and for connected purposes. Order number 11, motion, debate on the President's address, day 2.
Did anyone have any time outstanding? I think, Honorable Kainan, you had how many minutes left? Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Hoping that issue has been resolved, Madam Speaker. I hope there will be some semblance of law and order. Madam Speaker, I want to join Kenyans, I want to join colleagues here in, it's difficult actually, I think you need to call to.
Order, honorable members, Honorable DK, Honorable Ochieng, Honorable Sirma, you have an opportunity to consult later on the matter, so kindly take your seat. Honorable members, let us be orderly.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, STONA is a constitutional obligation of the President in line.
Honorable members, kindly consult in low tones.
Shall I?
Honorable members, Honorable Savula.
And it's taking my time.
Honorable Kandiye. Okay, proceed, Honorable Kainan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, STONA is a constitutional obligation of the President in line with Article 132(1)(c) of the Constitution, which mandates the President to report to the nation through Parliament on measures taken and progress achieved in realization of national values as set in the article, Madam. Madam, therefore, the President trusts in this address to the nation from the economic front has addressed so many issues which we need to internalize. The first issue, Madam Speaker, are the challenges facing the country, Madam Speaker. I don't know, there is still a lot of...
Honorable Member for Keses. Honorable Murui, kindly slow down on your consultation. Honorable DK, you will have an opportunity to consult on this matter during lunch break.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Keitany. Let us proceed. We are on a different matter altogether. You may proceed. You'll start again. You may proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to the President's address to the nation through Parliament, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a constitutional requirement. And we as members, as the representative of the people, pursuant to Article 1 of the Constitution, Madam Speaker, need to internalize this particular address in line with the expectation and the aspiration of the people of Kenya, Madam. The President has tried to address almost all issues from the economy to education, infrastructure, security, agriculture, and later on I'll address the issue of the lunar floods, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we must face the realities. This address, which is second after the Kenya Kwanza government actually came to power, addresses the salient issues that we have been avoiding. The salient issues, Madam Speaker, the role of independent institutions like the judiciary. I remember in the past, we were told we have 3 arms of government. There's still a problem. I don't know what we are going to do.
Honorable Muhia.
But it will be futile to...
Honorable Kandiye. Just proceed and ignore them because we can hear you.
In the past, when we were in school, Madam Speaker, we were told we have 3 arms of government. The judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. These days, we have many other arms of government. We have the independent institutions which have actually taken over the role of many of the other 3 arms. We also have the members of the Fourth Estate. We have the NGO community. But Madam Speaker, one thing that we must address as a nation is the role and the independent mandate of the judiciary. And this is one thing that the government, the president has, over the last few months, has attempted actually to solidify and address. And we are glad that the role of the judiciary is being addressed without demeaning them, without downgrading them. They are being funded. And that is meant actually to provide a neutral appetite to the other arms of government. And therefore, that is commendable. Madam Speaker, the other bit is the issue of affordable housing. We are aware that there has been challenges. Where I come from, Madam Speaker, before a few years ago, 2 things were foreign: tarmac roads and decent housing, Madam Speaker. Luckily, because of devolution, right now we have seen elements of tarmac road. And right now, because of this concept of affordable housing, we have been told, and we have huge chunk of land, Madam Speaker. We hope and pray that our region will get facilities through this affordable housing, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the other issue is the issue of national security. In the past, Kenya is a responsible member of the international community. Not only a responsible member, Madam Speaker, Kenya has been a frontline state. Kenya has been an infrastructural hub. Kenya has been a security hub. Kenya has been a conferencing hub. Meaning we enjoy a special status, Madam Speaker, as a country, and this unique position must be appreciated by the leadership. And the president in his address, without prejudice, without anticipating debate on the issue of Haiti, on this, we need to understand how Kenya's position, how Kenya's image has been projected. First, over the last 1 year, Madam Speaker, we were a member of the United Nations Security Council. That is a coveted position which many African countries or many third world countries have been struggling to realize. We achieved it. And therefore, our position as a responsible member of the international community must at all times be projected, protected, and promoted. This, Madam Speaker, this can only come if we really appreciate that dynamic role of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and I'm glad that the President has alluded to this, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the issue of defense and security, Kenya is in the midst of many countries that have been bedeviled by security challenges. Look at our neighbors. Look at what has happened in Ethiopia recently. Look at what is happening right now in the Sudan. Look at what has happened in the Congo. Look at what has happened in Somalia. It's because of this that, Madam Speaker, every effort must be made to protect our international border, Mr. Speaker. Both internal security and international border. And this is why, this is one of the areas that the President has also alluded to. Madam Speaker, the issue of provision of affordable health care is something that all of us are yearning for. Recently, we passed a number of legislations, and I hope this will inject professionalism, efficiency, and efficacy, Madam Speaker, so that those Kenyans, those I think today is a bad day for the members, Madam Speaker. Members are still consulting loudly, and therefore what we are saying, even that may not even make sense. I hope you will. Madam Speaker, the issue of affordable health care is a constitutional requirement, Madam Speaker, and this is one thing that the President has also alluded to. Madam Speaker, the issue of national debt. I'm glad you know that you have taken a bit of my time, so I hope you will, yes.
Kindly add him some time because he's been interrupted. I'll give him another 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, the issue of national debt. This regime inherited a struggling economy, and we must say the truth. I'm glad that yesterday the leader of majority has emphatically said that Kenya is not going to default and join the league of many countries that have been degraded, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a reality. One thing that has given us leverage over the years as a responsible nation, Madam Speaker, is because of our commitment to our international obligation. Madam Speaker, the government should do everything possible to make sure Kenya does not default in our international obligation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, without this, even the little that we have been enjoying, what has remained from high inflation, Madam Speaker, what is remaining from the high cost of living will be eaten once we default. Madam Speaker, the other bit that the President has also alluded to is the issue of digitization of government services. Madam Speaker, this is also critical. We are living in the era of the digital world. This must be felt at the villages, Madam Speaker, and this is one thing that every Kenyan is yearning for. Madam Speaker, having said this, recently I was taken aback, Madam Speaker, on the conflict, in particular by the meteorological department, Madam Speaker, and the report that they gave. Madam Speaker, we, the people of Northern Kenya, have had a very challenging history. Recently, our area was affected by drought. Right now, we are suffering because of El Nino. Madam Speaker, we expected the President, in his speech, also to include the issue of El Nino floods, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, today as we speak, 90% of our region, Madam Speaker, is completely cut off from the rest of Kenya. Madam Speaker, I know we don't have time and the provision to amend this. Madam Speaker, we hope and we appreciate the government has declared the El Nino floods a national disaster. Madam Speaker, that has yet to bring in any meaningful assistance to the region, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we hope the ministry is concerned, the Ministry of ASAL, Office of the Deputy President, Madam Speaker, Office of the President, the Ministry of Infrastructure, will put their house in order and ensure that the people of Northern Kenya who have been cut off completely by the El Nino floods get assistance, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is this thing that is really, I know very soon we'll be talking about the outbreak of cholera, dysentery, and other diseases, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, right now as we speak, the main road from Nairobi, Mwingi, Garissa, Wajir is completely cut off. Even the little tarmac that we have had, Madam Speaker, has been completely washed away. Madam Speaker, we hope and pray that this issue of El Nino floods will be taken seriously by the government, and now that they have declared this area a disaster zone, the necessary government services should also be provided, Madam Speaker, to the villagers, so that people also appreciate the presence of government, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, time for politics is over. I want to ask those who are still determined to rubbish everything that the government does, to give the government an opportunity to do their mandate, and when the time comes, you'll get an opportunity to interrogate them and evaluate them on the basis of their performance. Madam Speaker, in the African culture, when an institution like government or the people decide through elections to vote in a particular way, that particular way must also be respected. And this is why we are saying, allow the government to function. If they don't perform, you will have an opportunity in 2027. For now, this government has been duly elected. Allow them to function, allow them to do their work, allow them to operate. If they don't perform, let's undertake our responsibility as a responsible opposition. If we rubbish everything if we rubbish everything that the government does, then I can assure you there will be no need for elections. Allow them to function, critique them, evaluate them, both summatively, formatively. If they don't perform, you will have an opportunity. For now, this is their platform. Their platform is what they have said. And this is one thing that should be supported. I support the report.
Honorable Member for Laikipia West, Honorable Ashira Karani. Oh, are you not ready?
I'm ready. The presidential speech.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will start by applauding His Excellency the President for his fantastic speech. And this is one example where I've seen that the President has really done something good. For the first time, I've seen discipline in the promises that has been given. For example, the President gave a promise when he was campaigning that he will appoint 6 judges to the Court of Appeal. And true to his word, the first thing that he did after swearing in is to go and call for the swearing of the 6 judges. The same time, Madam Speaker, the judiciary had requested for more fundings, and His Excellency the President agreed and asked this House to fund some 3 billion, which we did. The other thing I find in the speech, and I really appreciate, is the one on fertilizer. Madam Speaker, I come from a constituency that does a lot of farming, and I can tell you this is a program that has been approved by the farmers. The way the farmers have been registered, the 5.5 million farmers who have been registered, they received their fertilizer, and the reduction of the price from 6,500 to 2,500. I happen to be one of the farmers who benefited from the program. I can assure you, Madam Speaker, this is something that is helping the farmers a lot. With that, I support, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Member for Navokolo. Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to appreciate the President's speech as detailed in this House, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, thank that he took his 1 hour and 6 minutes and made use of it and addressed the nation within the provisions of Article 132, particularly Section C, which gives him the mandate, Honorable Speaker, to highlight what he has done and what he intends to do. Honorable Speaker, in the speech which the President delivered in this House, I have 2 or 3 observations to make. First, to appreciate him, the issue of teachers. I come from an area, my constituency is full of graduate teachers and even primary school teachers. And Honorable Speaker, when he took the initiative to employ more than 56,000 teachers, I want to appreciate and say that's a good thing, which indeed my constituency, we saw the employment of very many teachers from there, those who had not been employed before. Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank the President on the highlight in terms of farming. Particularly, Honorable Speaker, the stage he took to release the debt of very many sugar factories, Honorable Speaker, 118 billion shillings is not a walk in the park. It takes somebody to really put his foot down and do it. And Honorable Speaker, having taken that bold step and done the release of 117 billion debt, I just want to request, Honorable Speaker, that indeed let him complete the journey by really pushing on the issue of leasing, so that, Honorable Speaker, the balance sheet of these 5 factories is going to be good enough to attract, Honorable Speaker, the investors now to put in money and take over the running of these factories. Honorable Speaker, the only thing that now arises, which I did not see, is the reprimand. I want, Honorable Speaker, the government to reprimand. How did this 117 billion shilling come about? Who did these losses? How did it happen? Honorable Speaker, when you are selling cane, you must sell cane to the factory or deliver cane to the factory. You either have to get the sugar produced or the money paid. When you go to the stores, there is no sugar, but there is also no money in the pockets of farmers. Who took away this money? It's important, Honorable Speaker, that whereas we appreciate the President's speech very much, that he released the 117, but the question is, we want the institutions charged with responsibility to help the President reprimand those who stole that money. How did it come about that it was misappropriated? Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank the President in the manner in which he reported to the House the issue of repayment of debts, national debt, the repayment of the more than 500 billion to the Euro bond issues. It's a good move, Honorable Speaker. When a country like ours is put in the red, it's not only the country, Honorable Speaker, it's even those in private sector. We have business people who are doing offshore tradings, who are investing using foreign banks. And Honorable Speaker, when our country is in the red, definitely individual rating also comes down. So it's important to thank the President that he has taken an initiative to tell the country that is going to pay the loan owed after the Euro bond. And Honorable Speaker, in the same footing, we should ask, did we spend the money well? How was the money from the Euro bond proceeds come into the country? Those are issues, Honorable Speaker, the relevant agencies must help the President to address. And also, Honorable Speaker, cushion now, henceforth, what are we likely to see? Let us see good use of public resources as and when the government borrows. Honorable Speaker, the issue that the President addressed in terms of farming, the issue of subsidized fertilizers or subsidies into the farming as a process is a good thing, Honorable Speaker. Fertilizer was 7,500 very recently. Now, the government has brought it down to 2,500 per bag. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, it has a replica. When you come to my constituency, you see a change. Most of the people have afforded it now to buy and invest into the agriculture sector. Myself, I'm a farmer. I was able to access it, Honorable Speaker. It's a good thing. Let's encourage it to go on. But, Honorable Speaker, let's also ask the government to go further and say we don't just end up at the county headquarters. Like Kakamega, Honorable Speaker, we were only able to collect from Kakamega. Some of the stores which are now coming, were supposed to come down to the sub-counties, were not available. So let's ask the government, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that we now move down to the people and deliver fertilizer or any subsidy as close as possible, not to end up at the county level, Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the President's speech and appreciate and thank him for that speech. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
The Honorable David Kiplagat, member for Soy. Okay, next is I have the Honorable Dorothy Kiara. Okay, somebody should pull out DK's card.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate and laud the President for his very elaborate message to the Kenyans 1 year after getting into office. Honorable
Professor Kipto, Barto, you have pressed the button and then now she's leaving. That's fine.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza regime aimed at addressing 3 primary challenges: external shocks, physical distress, and structural imbalances. The national revenue, Honorable Speaker, is 2.4 trillion and our debt redemption is 1.2 trillion. I have the revenue. And the interest is around 600 billion, Honorable Speaker, a quarter of the revenue. Part of the measures taken are to subsidize production, to ensure agriculture transformation, and putting money into those at the bottom of the pyramid. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying this because when the President was campaigning, he campaigned on the platform of the bottom-up economy. Honorable Speaker, by increasing the velocity of money into the market, this is what will revive our economy when we look at what has happened even in other countries like East Asia, where industrialization took place alongside green revolution. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, the government aims at addressing the forex risk as an important driver of the microeconomic instability. Honorable Speaker, having listened keenly to the address by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, I noted he is very key in 3 areas, Honorable Speaker. 1, the issue of job creation to our youth was not a myth, but a reality that His Excellency has tried to address. Honorable Speaker, as we speak, we all appreciate the 56,000 jobs that are already in existence, courtesy of what the President promised when he was signing the Education Charter during his campaign. Honorable Speaker, other than the 56,000 teachers, the President has gone ahead to give Kenyans hope in an education system that the Kenyans were not very sure it will succeed. Honorable Speaker, the President came in office amidst a lot of disquiet in the moment when people are not sure that the curriculum-based, the competence-based curriculum will succeed. Honorable Speaker, the President, in his wisdom, after ensuring that 56,000 teachers are employed, he also went ahead and made sure that the stalemate that was there in allowing our children to go to teacher training colleges, which had stalled for 3 years, he lifted that, Honorable Speaker, and today we have a total of 20,456 teachers being trained as diploma teachers to handle the curriculum-based, the competence-based curriculum. Honorable Speaker, apart from the teachers, Honorable Speaker, we note that investing also in the substantive blue economy is thus very critical in the survival of our world and humanity. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza government and the President of the Republic of Kenya is very key at ensuring that we invest in our waters and in our oceans. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I am proud to be associated with what the President is currently doing, investing and bringing up 22,000 new fish landing sites. These sites will not only create an opportunity for our youth to get employment, they will also be a source of revenue for this country because the production of fish is very, very critical in our country. Honorable Speaker, I want to end by saying His Excellency the President also in the education sector has ensured that every person in this country gets an opportunity to be in a credible institution.
I'll give her 1 minute to finish the sentence.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And this is the reason why, Honorable Speaker, I wrote His Excellency, because the promise of the Open University has become a reality. And Honorable Speaker, by January next year, we will proudly invite 1,000 students who will be registered, thus fulfilling Article 43 of our Constitution. Honorable Speaker, in the matter of addressing corruption, which puts the government at the bands as a house, we can assist the government greatly by finalizing on the asset declaration and conflict of interest bill to further tighten anti-corruption policy framework and eliminate space for corruption and achieve the bottom-up transformation agenda. Honorable Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Naivasha, Honorable Jane Kihara. Honorable Kibagendi, you're number 4
Madam
on the
Speaker.
list. I'm following the list. So you
Madam
can't
Speaker,
protest
thank
if
you
you
very
come on
much.
time. Proceed, Honorable Kihara.
Very much for giving me this chance just to talk about the presidential address. Madam Speaker, I was not in the House when it was delivered. I was out of the country. But being part of the Kenya Kwanza government and the plan, I know whatever the president said is in line with what he promised Kenyans. And it is my support, being a staunch supporter of Kenya Kwanza government, to support the issues he said, the deliverables that I have seen, especially on the side of education. Madam Speaker, this is the highest number of teachers we have seen employed since we got independence. Madam Speaker, the fertilizer reduction of price from 6,500 to 2,500 tells me that Kenyans will have food security and also employment. We know agriculture is one big employer, and as it has been said, the education, the CBC, some of us would not even understand what it was. But when he came, he restructured to our understanding, and now we know the benefits because we are able to address it. We address to the talents of the people. The challenges that we have gotten, Madam Speaker, from COVID-19 and the drought has taught us many lessons. Madam Speaker, on Monday we had a public holiday to plant trees. He has been talking, the president has been talking about environment, climate change. I would like to thank him for giving us that day, and we saw it that actually everybody was out to plant trees. That tells us that we are going to address the climate change, we are going to have more forest cover, and I think this is what that he's been talking about. About the economy, yes, it has not picked up, but we are optimistic that this is going to happen. We need to give the government a bit of time. My biggest worry is corruption. Madam Speaker, there has to be a splendid way of addressing corruption, because this is something that has not come out very clearly, because we don't want him to be seen to addressing corruption and not taking action. We'd like action to be taken to those ones who are pulling him down when he's addressing the economy of this country. And having not been around here and not had a chance, I'm just looking at this print. But even from the side headings, subheadings, it tells me that this country is headed for greater heights. Madam Speaker, I support. Thank you.
The Honorable Rachel Nyamai, member for Kitui. Not yet. Okay, I think we can go to the Honorable member for Gatanga, Wakili Muriu. After that, we'll have Charles Ngusia and then Anthony Kibagendi, going like that.
Madam Speaker, I support the presidential speech to the nation, which was in compliance with Article 132 of our Constitution. And Madam Speaker, I have got two issues which I'd like this country to understand, stemming from the presidential speech. Number one, Madam Speaker, we need to appreciate that the Constitution 2010 came with an expanded government and therefore an expanded expenditure which was not matched by the generation of revenue. And therefore, the first two terms from 2010 to 2022, when this constitution was being implemented, it meant that the government then had to borrow tremendously to ensure that they are able to cover the huge expenditure of running a bloated government to a tune of 10 trillion. Madam Speaker, the President addressed that issue very critically because he said very clearly, though the previous government had borrowed heavily to a tune of close to about 10 trillion, this country cannot afford to continue borrowing, because you cannot be able, number one, continue borrowing to support the consumption. And Madam Speaker, he also addressed the issue on what is the country doing to ensure that we do not go to the direction of Zimbabwe, direction of Zambia, direction of Ghana, direction of Greece, and even Sri Lanka, where those countries have defaulted on their national debt obligation, and therefore their rating in the international financial institutions have come down crumbling. And Madam Speaker, it's good to mention this, that if there is an existential danger of this country, is that our debt. And I think, Madam Speaker, the President has addressed that issue succinctly, in the sense that we need, number one, to raise our own revenue. Number two, we need to have the sight of our debt in such a way that we are ready to pay our debts when they fall due. Madam Speaker, you find that the Eurobond is falling due, and the President assured this country that that amount of money, the government is ready to pay that debt. Because the danger of not paying that debt, Madam Speaker, is that this country, it will lose its own sovereignty in the eyes of the financial institutions. Today, we are complaining about high taxation, but the consequence of defaulting in terms of paying tax, paying the debt, is that, number one, there will be spiral inflation, and number two, our shilling will be highly dilapidated in terms of value, and number four, Madam Speaker, in the eyes of international standards, this country will be downgraded, and therefore, the fact that the President said, look, we need to ensure, number one, digitize our revenue, so at least there is no revenue leakage, and number two, ensure that our debts are paid at the right time. Madam Speaker, that is a step in the right direction. The second issue, Madam Speaker, is that the president addressed the issue of education. Education, Madam Speaker, is the equalizer between the rich and the poor. A country can only be able to progress if it has people or population which is well educated. And therefore, the fact that we are able to plug 600 billion in this financial year to support the education, the fact that we've been able to ensure that we have employed 56,000 new teachers under the TSC to educate our children, we are putting the right steps in the right direction. Finally, Madam Speaker, it's about the food. We can talk about many things, Madam Speaker, but if this country is hungry, a hungry man is an angry man. And that issue that has been addressed by the president by making sure that we have cheap fertilizer for our people. Madam Speaker, finally, is about the youth unemployment, which is a big problem in this country. And the fact that there's intervention on digitization, the EPZ, the housing programs, which again is addressing the issue of employment, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the President's speech. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Member for Mwingi West, Honorable Charles Ngusia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to want my voice to this presidential speech, Madam Speaker. Coming from one of the smartest politicians I've ever seen in this country, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. Madam Speaker, if I can rate the president politically, he is scoring 100%. Economically, below average. Socially, below average. But, Madam Speaker, let me engage on the issues of speech. I will appreciate the expression which came out in regards to agriculture. The issues of subsidized fertilizer. Madam Speaker, this one was done. But, Madam Speaker, there's still need to stress out. Majority of this country's agricultural inputs doesn't rely much on fertilizer, Madam Speaker. We need a lot to be done in arid and semi-arid zones, Madam Speaker. Issues of provision of water instead of fertilizer could actually boost our agricultural productivity. Then there was issue in agriculture, which His Excellency touched, Madam Speaker, and expansion of post-harvest storage facilities. Madam Speaker, this has been done, but there is need for equitable distribution of the same across the country. Only few areas have experienced the benefit. We need to see things happening all over the country without discrimination or favor. The issues of community health workers, Madam Speaker, that's positive to our country. And that is one thing I just loved our president. We have seen it happening in the country, and we need it enhanced to ensure that the project is sustainable. Madam Speaker, there are issues of education. Yes, we have implemented a new curricular activity in terms of education, 55,000 teachers employed. But we have come short of expressing who are these teachers employed in terms of ethnic balance, regional balance, and many other things, Madam Speaker. It is high time we interrogate this, and I have seen there is still bias in it, Madam Speaker. STOT project, which is infrastructure. I recall our CS, Murkomen, when he was on the floor of the House, he stressed out the need to complete STOT projects in this country. And Madam Speaker, in my constituency, I'm one of the mostly and first affected by this STOT project, the Kabat Migwani Bondoni Road, which is supposed to connect 8 counties, Madam Speaker. There is need for President to come out clearly and explore a good strategy on how he is going to complete the issues of STOT project, Madam Speaker. And I know this is not only affecting Mwingi West, it is affecting the whole countries. The previous administration started so many projects, and if we don't complete them, we will be wasting public resources, Madam Speaker. There's need to follow the Vision 2030 project, which was initiated by President Mwai Kibaki. Madam Speaker, the issues of electrification should have come out clearly on how we are going to deal with the issues of blackouts, issues of new project in this. We need to connect each and every Kenyan with electricity, Madam Speaker. I never heard of that being stressed, Madam Speaker. Of course, the climax of the debate, and I would like to agree with the President state, we must admit that as a country, we had been living large and way beyond our means. The time has come, therefore, to retire the false comforts and illusionary benefits of wasteful expenditure and counterproductive subsidies on consumption, which we dunk ourselves deeper into the hole of avoidable debts, Madam Speaker.
Allow him a minute to complete his sentence.
I acknowledge, Madam Speaker, what the President said, and I really empathize with this country. We need to pay all the debts, and I'm praying for the success of this country, because the success of Kenya will be success of everybody. Whether you are supporting government or you are against the government, let us pray for the success of Kenya, for the benefits of our Kenyan, and let us pay debts. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Kitutu Churches South, Honorable Anthony Kibagendi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity for me to also contribute to this. While we appreciate that Kenya is a continuous work in progress, we must also agree and be able to do things in the right way and use the right terminologies. When the President stated here that the government has employed close to 60,000 teachers, that was inappropriate, because the only teachers that have been employed are about 10,000. The rest of the teachers are on internship program. The other thing that the President did not address was on matters national cohesion and national integration.
What is your point of order, Honorable Bayer?
Honorable Speaker, I think this is a house of records. This is a house that relies on data. This is a house of truth. For the Honorable Kibagendi to rise on his place and claim that what the President said in terms of the 60,000, approximately 6,000 teachers being employed is incorrect, is actually trying to lower the dignity of this house, because the statistics are there. TSC would give you the statistics that the people that are employed as interns are different from the ones that have been given PPP jobs. And the information is out there and everybody knows about it. But to disparage the presidential speech to say such things as he says is actually out of order. Unless the Honorable Kibagendi substantiates, I think it is good manners to withdraw untruths. So I would really ask whether get the data from TSC, bring it here so that it shows us these are permanent and pensionable and these are PMP. What he has said should be expunged from the record of the House. Thank you and apologize.
Honorable Kibagendi, do you have confirmation from TSC that no teachers were in fact employed but that they were interns? Yes or no? Do you have?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm one of the youngest members of Parliament who is on research.
Honorable Kibagendi.
Yes, it is factual that 9,100 teachers were employed on permanent basis. The rest are interns. That is the truth.
Honorable Kibagendi,
yes.
If you make that allegation, you have the duty to substantiate.
So you should have. That is the truth, Madam Speaker.
No, I'm not asking for you to say the truth from yourself. You should have a document or
It is
from the
that
TSC
one,
site?
It is even in all sites, in all websites,
No,
even in
we don't
newspapers.
talk about. We are talking about the official TSC. Do you have an official?
Madam Speaker,
document
these are the facts. These are the facts.
We'll ask you to withdraw that, unless you can bring it back later if you have it.
I can bring it back later.
Okay, now withdraw.
Okay, I withdraw. Do I
Proceed.
proceed? But Madam Speaker, while at it, when they talk about 60,000 teachers, we did not see them substantiating the claims, because even that is a claim. But let me proceed. The President did not address the issue of national cohesion and equitable distribution of national resources and job opportunities. We've had a committee here in Parliament demonstrate that jobs were created, a few jobs that were created at KRA were unfairly distributed amongst a few communities, which I thought the President, that's a national issue, he should have addressed. The other thing is about the President being misinformed by those who give him data on the issue of the gentleman called Karisa from Coast Province, who has accessed 714 million from the Hustler Fund. That 714,000, who wanted to be given more access to be able to purchase a tuk-tuk. With 714,000, that gentleman can actually buy 2 of those tools of trade that he can use to generate income. What I can say again is that the government hasn't given clear indicators on job creation for youth. When the President talks about 50,000 jobs created in the construction industry, not all young Kenyans, not all youth are fundis. Most young Kenyans would hope to get job opportunities far beyond the construction industry. And the President ought to also have spoken about job losses in the steel industry, in the banking industry, and in the various industries that we've had job losses.
What's your point of order, Honorable Nyamai?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I have interrupted my colleague, the Honorable Kibagendi, again on matter of fact. When I look at the presidential speech on page 12 and 13, the President has specifically talked about different cadres of our youths, talking about the Juakali sector and going further to explain about engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, and all that. Is it in order, Honorable Speaker, for the Honorable Kibagendi to only go to the negatives and ignore all the positives? For example, what is on page 12 and page 13, as clearly stipulated. Honorable Speaker, is it in order?
Your point of order, Honorable Dawood.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Kibagendi has misrepresented the President's speech, where the President talked about Karisa accessing 714,000. It is in bits, and he said 714,000 he could have bought 2 tuk-tuks. But you do not access 714 in one go. So he said he should have been able to buy those 2 tuk-tuks. So I want him to correct those facts. It's on page 11, number 40.
Honorable Kibagendi, you want to make reference to the speech? You've looked at it?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is something that I've read severally. I listened to the President, and I know what I'm talking about. When I talk about Honorable Nyamai, what Honorable Nyamai has asked, it's the entire of what she's talking about is around the construction industry, and that is what I clearly stated. Job opportunities that young people in Kenya need are beyond the construction industry. When you talk about quantity surveyors, engineers, it is purely in the construction industry. And on the issue that Honorable Member from Meru has raised is that at this point, Karisa is able to access 714 million, not in total. It is at this point that is able to access that. So that should be able to guarantee the gentleman an opportunity to buy 2 motorbikes. For me to get to the... yes.
Honorable Kibagendi, if someone accesses an amount of money, it is for them to decide what they shall buy with it, not for you to tell them what is a better idea, because you're not in his business. So I think you're really over-speculating on that one. Huh? Yeah,
Thank
so
you,
just
Madam
proceed.
Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And stick to factual things that are in the speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah. Leave out your speculation.
The problem here, Madam Speaker, is we are accepting speculation from those that are supporting the president and not agreeing to the facts that I'm presenting. But let me proceed. We are saying the government is late on its promises and its bills. And it is time the government transformed its lofty visions into actual projects and services to the people of this republic that gave them an opportunity to serve. Thank you, Madam Speaker, despite all the interruptions. Thank you.
The Honorable Rachel Nyamai. You'll be next, Honorable Murugara. Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much for also indulging me earlier. First of all, I would like to congratulate the President and start by saying that it is not easy, Honorable Speaker, to lead a country. It is very difficult to lead. And it is easier to oppose, to say no to everything that is done. So I would like to take this opportunity as the member for Kitui South to congratulate the President for the first 1 year, from where he started, at the situation that he found the country, and where he has been able to push the country this far. Honorable Speaker, the President, His Excellency, the President was able to put down matters of this country, from health to security to agriculture and to everything that pertains to this country in only 1 hour and 6 minutes, Honorable Speaker. And I would like to say that, to congratulate him for that. Madam Speaker, I will go to matters that touch on my constituency directly and start with the issue of employment of teachers. I would like to thank the President because I have seen teachers employed in my constituency, in primary schools, in secondary schools, in both Ikuda and Motoma sub-counties, and also in the newly registered JSS schools. And I would like to just call for more, that when another opportunity comes, Honorable Speaker, be it teachers being permanently employed, be it teachers being on temporary employment, I am welcoming employment of all teachers in whichever way in my constituency, because my constituency and many other constituencies in rural areas are highly understaffed. Honorable Speaker, I will go also direct to the matter of reduction of cost of fertilizer. Madam Speaker, we are aware that fertilizer in this country about a year ago cost 6,500 shillings, and it has now been pushed down by the President to 2,500. Honorable Speaker, this is a reduction of 4,000 shillings. The other part which I would like to congratulate the President is because of working together and collaborating with counties. Because we used to have purchase of fertilizer in other times, but this time fertilizer is purchased, the President is able to work with the counties, and we are able to see distribution of fertilizer in our counties. And with the rains, the current rains, Honorable Speaker, we are looking forward to increased production of maize, especially in Kitui County. We look forward to increased production of maize. Honorable Speaker, we have also seen reduction of the cost of unga from 250 per packet, which was impossible. Now, Madam Speaker, this has gone to an average of about 150, and we cannot take this for granted. During the time that we were campaigning, Madam Speaker, it was 250, and now the price has gone to 150. I believe that it will go lower. What we can ask for is further reduction of cost of goods that are used within the households, and we'd like to ask the President to also look at this. Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that as a member of Parliament and as a member of Kitui South and also a member of various committees in this House, I would like to thank the President for giving us a product from his travels abroad. Madam Speaker, there is no way the President can make multilateral and bilateral agreements when he is seated here. We have seen these agreements that have been made, and we are looking forward to seeing possibilities of more business in this country within our business women and men. who have really been looking forward to these agreements being done, agreements on taxation and others. Honorable Speaker, I would also like to say that another product of travel is that there is no way the President can sit down and not engage IMF, DFID, ADB. It is by these travels that the President has been able to engage, come with agreements that are going to be useful for this country, signed loans that are going to be useful so that we can have development. As I finish, Madam Speaker, I would like to say that the housing sector is going to give us various houses, social housing, affordable housing, and also the market rate housing. It is also going to give jobs to our children, those who are in the Juakali sector, and also our highly educated young people who are engineers and all the other high cadre, those who have done very high-level degrees. So it is taking care of Juakali, and it's also taking care of those who are highly educated. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity.
The Honorable Sir George Murugara, member for Tharaka.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, last Thursday we had the State of the Nation address by His Excellency the President, and we are required to debate this particular speech for the next 3 days. Madam Speaker, I know many people will say we are giving His Excellency the President accolades where they are not due, but I got to start by saying, number one, the speech was given in a timely space of time because Kenyans are expectant. They want to hear what this government has done for the last 1 year. And it is not just the government. We as members of parliament are also being called to book, to tell constituents what we have done the last 1 year. His Excellency the President gave a statesmanship address, composed, and allayed the expectations of Kenyans on negativity and gave us hope. He spoke on a wide range of issues, including cost of living, where he confirmed that the only way we can reduce cost of living is by subsidizing production. And he has given emphasis on fertilizer and seeds for planting. He also spoke on the evidence the country has, which debts are actually increasing without borrowing because our shilling is losing value against the international currency, including the dollar. We have to repay these debts, otherwise if we default, everybody will actually rank Kenya as a failed state. He spoke on petroleum products, whose prices should be coming down, and we expect this to happen, in spite of the fact that the government has no control on the prices at international level. As we move along, we are expectant that the prices of petroleum products will be coming down. It's important also to say he was a caring and listening president, because as he gave his speech, we had just seen the legal notices that had come along from the Minister for Interior, my constituent, Professor Kithure Kindiki. And Kenyans were up in arms. There was a hue and cry regarding the cost of services to Kenyans. We are happy to see that the government has listened to this and has actually now published reductions, recommended reductions, and these are to be subjected to public participation. This is what a listening and caring government should actually be doing. There was a paragraph or two on employment, which is very important. And employment in the country, as enunciated by the president, cannot come in any other way save as through investments. This is why the president has to visit foreign countries so that he's able to attract investment for our country and to ensure that the youth who are languishing in unemployment are able to secure employment. It is important also to talk about the teachers, whom he clearly mentioned that we have employed over 56,000 teachers. Whether these are interns, they are permanent and pensionable. These are young trained teachers who are now going to classrooms to teach. Hope for the interns is that as soon as they complete their term of internship, they are actually able to secure jobs. And these jobs will be permanent and pensionable. The president mentioned about housing, and we have all seen the edifices that are coming up across the country. Beautiful houses that are to be sold to Kenyans so that we can move towards modern living. Very important. The president mentioned about the economic stimulus and empowerment fund. This is called the Hustler Fund. It is doing wonders in the country. People are borrowing, people are repaying, and the fund is revolving as required. Us as members of parliament would be to encourage Kenyans to borrow this money, make use of it, make prudent use of it, and repay so that others are able to benefit. You actually add about health. And here, we don't have to go very high. Let's talk about the CHVPs, the community health promoters. Extremely important. This is a milestone in the way we are doing things, because we need health at the basic grassroots level, where this CHP is able to attend to minor ailments which are afflicting our people at the local level. We add a paragraph on foreign relations, very important, because we live in a global community where we must relate well with other countries in the universe. And we have heard Kenyans, some of them complain that the president has made too many trips abroad. We must make friends on the globe. We must also attract other countries to come and invest in our country. This way, we will be able to grow our economy. Our jobs will be much better as they are, and therefore, I believe it is welcome. I submit it's welcome for the president to be visiting these countries. A little bit off the line is the issue of 80, where our police officers are supposed to go and try to bring that country to order. There has been debate on this from all quarters, from all levels, and what comes out is clear that Kenya has not volunteered itself. It is the international community that has asked us to actually send our police officers to Haiti so that they are able to help that country bring law and order. And our police officers are more than willing to go there. We are not incurring any expenses. We are training them, and we have done it before. We have had our police officers go to other countries. They have actually provided the required peace. We have had our forces go to other countries, and they have done a fantastic job, including Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, everywhere else, Europe. We were in Bosnia, we were in Herzegovina, and now as we speak, we are back in Africa, Somalia, and DRC Congo. I cannot finish my speech without talking about the expectations of Kenyans on our government. And we cannot say more than we have said, that every Kenyan is expectant. And the only message we have for the country is let us be patient. Let us repay the debts. Let's see money growing so that we are able to move to development. My constituency, Tharaka, is equally expectant. And it's important to point out that being a marginalized area in the eastern region, we have high expectations. The roads are not good. We are experiencing El Nino. The blame is on the government. The blame is on me as their member of parliament, that the government is not going down to work on those roads. We really have to inform the government. As soon as the rains subside, let us move down to the entire country, fix our road network so that our citizens can enjoy communication. Electricity supply is short in Tharaka, is short everywhere else in the country. We have to move in and improve connection to the national grid. Tharaka topping this. Water, like now we should be harvesting. There are lots of water that is all draining into the Indian Ocean. In another 1 year, we shall be crying when drought comes. This is the high time we put into place means and ways of harvesting water. Water that will be used in northeastern Kenya, water that will be used in my region, in the constituency of Tharaka, and water that will be used everywhere else it is needed. For my constituency, I call upon the government for affirmative action in matters development. Tharaka is marginalized, Tharaka is arid and semi-arid, and therefore requires to be actually considered in a totally different perspective. With those remarks, I do actually congratulate the president. This speech was balanced. This speech tried to touch on all spheres of life in the country, and what we need to say is, let us wait with the hope we were given by His Excellency the President. I support.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Andrew Okuome, member for Karachuonyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to put my word on a presidential address to the nation. Madam Speaker, I do know and I acknowledge the fact that Kenyans are a proud people. They want to see the best for this nation. They are crying out for good life. And when the president was giving his speech, in my mind I was analyzing and seeing the benefits and advantages we were going to get from the president's speech. I had in mind what Kenyans are facing as we move along today and relate that with the speech I expected the president to make. Madam Speaker, the key issue Kenyans are talking about, and which is extremely important, is the cost of living. If you do not address this adequately, the value of your speech, however good it may be, goes down. It is my opinion, Madam Speaker, that the President did not fully meet the expectation of the Kenyan population on the cost of living. People are suffering. I don't need to elaborate on this. Although he said the cost of maize has gone down, if it has, Madam Speaker, I want to say that this is not on ground. At least if I check what's happening in my own area or the region I come from, the cost of living in terms of maize is still as high as it was earlier after we had passed the budget 23-24. I therefore expected not just some good wishes and intentions. I expected the president to tell us strong methods he has taken to reduce the price, Madam Speaker. I know this is caused very much with the cost of fuel. Madam Speaker, the President avoided to talk on this. And yet it is fuel which is igniting this suffering to the Kenyan population. Yes, the President has said, and it is the policy of the government, that they cannot subsidize consumption. They want to subsidize production. Yes, that might look very good. But using this wholesale is not addressing the Kenyans' interest. Have in mind the same fuel I'm talking about. It is a very, very essential, commodity the Kenyan need. In fact, here is where the president should come up with a full control so that people don't suffer. Because once this goes out of the way, the life goes out of the way as well. Before, in the last regime, they subsidized petrol. And I was told, if you do this, you are not going to make Kenya competitive. Yet, at that time, when subsidy was being given for petrol, and Kenya shillings was also supported, we remained competitive a lot more than we are today. If somebody wants to find for me why I'm saying that, Uganda, our neighbor here who has been with us all along the road, have left us. They are now importing their own fuel direct. And the price they are paying is now lower. Why are we pricing ourselves out of the world market by weakening the Kenya shillings? Kenya shillings should be supported by the government and not let.
The Honorable Gladys Boss, member for Uasin Gishu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this very important matter. A matter that is clearly provided for in Article 132 of our Constitution, that requires the President to report through a State of the Nation address or an address to the nation all measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of national values. These particular measures in the report and the progress in the report are required by the same Article 132 to be gazetted in the official Kenya Gazette. So for those such as Honorable Kibagendi, who are alluding to the fact that the facts in the report are not accurate, must understand that this is a legal document. It is a gazette notice, which means should you have any challenge about it, you can legally challenge the publication in the gazette and that line, and then request for an order that an addendum or a corrigenda be put in the official Kenya Gazette. It cannot be by simply raising superfluous statements here in the House. It must be factual. So I dare those to do that. Honorable Speaker, as I rise to lend my voice to this debate, I wish to use this opportunity to congratulate the head of state for this exemplary speech. The head of state was honest of the fact that he took over a government that was having fiscal challenges, that he took over a government that was having a sinking economy, that he took over a government that was wrought with unemployment, that he took over a government that we had challenges in our education sector. He took over a government that we had challenges in our health sector. He was honest about it. He did not say that it's a rosy picture. He also indicated, and we know for a fact, that there were two choices. Either the head of state buries his head in the sand, decides to be a popular leader, and continue subsidies, subsidizing petroleum, subsidize food, so that everyone can clap and cheer on. But that was not going to be sustainable. Eventually, the country would have sunk. There was the other choice which he has taken, to undertake serious intervention